Welcome to another episode of The Velvet Hammer.
And here we go.
I'm going first because you're going to get it wrong.
Of course. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Of course I'm going to get it wrong.
All right, so I was reading an article, and I've been thinking about some of these things anyway, about sacrifice and your work life. And I've been thinking about that because I've heard blowback a little bit from the fact that I've said that in the past. And I tell a lot of people that, and anybody that wants to work for the office actually, but even just mentoring young or new lawyers, which I've done since the beginning of my career. Like, I've always mentored lawyers. I've slowed down as an older lawyer because I just, how do you kind of connect? I don't know that people really connect with me just coming out of law school. But one thing that I've always said is there's a lot of lawyers. There's so many. There are thousands and thousands. But there's always going to be room for an exceptional lawyer, for a really good lawyer. But there's a difference between a good lawyer, a decent lawyer, an average lawyer, an okay lawyer, and an exceptional lawyer. And what typically is involved is sacrifice. It's hard to be an exceptional, especially a trial lawyer, if you work from 9 to 4 for 3 or 4 days a week and have a super wonderful life other than that. Like, you just have this, you can read books whenever you want.
Yeah.
You can go on any trip you want at any time. You can plan, a year or just a couple weeks in advance to go out of town with your family. You don't have to worry about running to go meet any kind of athletic activity of your children or to watch a concert of someone you love, performing to support them. It all will just work out. But as a trial lawyer, farthest thing from the truth. First of all, if you're in trial, especially for a long time, you are going to miss things. You can't go to everything that you would like to go to. Your children's concerts at school in the middle of the workday, for example. Your free time becomes very, very truncated, even when you're not in trial, just even preparing for trial. And then when you're not preparing for trial, you're managing your other caseload. You can do this. That's why a lot of trial lawyers work as solos, because they can manage better their caseload and keep it smaller. But if you have a heavy caseload and a huge practice, you are going to sacrifice. And so that was one thought. And then the other thought that led me to talk about this was, we can explore that, but the other thought was, I read an article this morning on, I can't remember the phrase of it, maybe Mike, of these new tech companies which are on a rush. It reminds me very much of Microsoft in the 80s. Microsoft in the 80s, everybody slept over. Like, they had couches and mattresses, or just they'd stay overnight. They worked around the clock often, and nobody complained because then they could take off. They'd have these deadlines, and then the deadlines would be over, and then they could go do something, and then they come back and then do it again. And modern wisdom or thought in the offices that are looking for, these young workers is, well, they're not willing to sacrifice. Well, not true. According to this article, they're saying that there's like a 2-year period for these AI companies, these startup AI companies, to really get into the game before the big AI takes over everything and there's not space. And they have reinvigorated that process, which it happens already in other countries around the world, not as much in the U.S. as it had been way back in the, Helicon, is that right? Helicon days of Microsoft. But it's happening again, where they're living together, working together, 9 to 9, 9 to 11. Then you wake up at 1 a.m. and you whiteboard as a team, and you're just working around the clock. Now, do I think that that's a good thing? Obviously not. But it's illustrating my point of, in order to be excellent, do you have to, in order to excel, do you have to sacrifice? That's my question of the day. And it's beyond just lawyers. But that's the question. In order to be excellent on a sustained basis, do you have to sacrifice?
Mike?
No, you guys go first. I got a few things I got to
Mo.
Okay, so one thing I don't want to do is like pass judgment on people who are like, hey, I want to just live in the mainstream of work ethic and balance my work life and go travel and do all that.
And
I think that's wonderful.
And a lot of people are like, I'm not living to work.
Yeah.
This is not a slight.
This is not a slight on any of that
Absolutely.
that kind of person.
That's a choice.
That's a choice.
And it's a choice that I highly respect.
Yeah. What my experience in my life has been is that exceptional people,
Not exceptional people. The question is,
let me. It's you're talking about sacrifice.
I don't want to say exceptional people because that makes it sound like exceptional people do this and unexceptional. My question is simply, in order to excel at work, do you have to sacrifice?
I'm not going to adopt your framing because I don't see exceptional people as trying to suggest somebody's not something else. Exceptional people to me are just the exception to the rule. Exception to the general rule. People who are just exceptions to the rule. I think my experience has been is that process of sacrifice that exceptional people truly understand and appreciate in pursuing a discipline, a craft, creates a situation, creates an environment where they don't want to be associated with other types of people. And the other types of people don't like to be around people who are the exception to the rule. It just doesn't create an environment where you are moving towards a particular direction in harmony, synchronized. The sacrifice.
Well, can we hold on? That comment that you just made, which is slightly off topic, but still kind of on, is something I've heard business people speak. Probably Cuban or somebody like that. These self-help business people that say stuff, and I've heard it said, and I'm not saying it's not correct, that in order to move to the most efficient way to move forward on a work goal is to have like-minded people. So people that are going to sacrifice work better with people that are also going to sacrifice.
Yes.
And people that aren't going to sacrifice work better with people that aren't going to sacrifice.
Yeah, because if you're sacrificing, I mean, the concept of sacrifice is you're giving something up for something else. And that's a very personal choice. And for whatever reason you're being motivated to do that, either you're alone in that or you're doing that in relationship with others. And organizations that are exceptional organizations, exceptions to the general rule, have groups of people who understand the concept of sacrifice and sacrifice collectively towards a common good.
Okay, so here's my issue. My issue is that you're off topic. You're going to the topic you want, which is workplace.
I'm not.
Yeah,
organization. I didn't say workplace.
You're talking about how can you make an exceptional law firm?
No, I'm not. I didn't even talk about law firm.
But this is what your goal is. I know it.
No, it's not. I'm talking about organizations. I'm talking
not. I'm talking about people.
Okay, people?
Yes.
I think you're both talking about both of those things.
Oh, he's so even-keeled.
No.
Yes.
I think that from what you started with, which was saying that successful people was the term used early on.
Yeah.
Tend to have a stronger work ethic was where it was going. And saying that doesn't mean that the people that aren't successful don't have a strong work ethic.
Correct.
Because I would argue that there are people who work much harder than Karen does, than you do, than I do, probably make half what I make a year, and are working multiple jobs all the time, no time off ever, spending almost all of their hours working. But the way that our economy is set up, those people are never going to be successful in the way that you guys are defining success, because it's not possible for them to rise above where they are.
So basically, we started off with a bigoted premise, because I completely agree with you, Mike.
Yeah.
Because that's the truth. So we need to redefine. So we didn't intend to be
Success.
bigoted.
Success is not dependent on the amount of work. It does affect it, but it doesn't mean. I mean, the difference between working in a law firm and, say, working at a McDonald's. A McDonald's is going to have rushes during the day where it's harder and more work has to be done. But at nighttime, it's going to be slower. A law firm is going to be busy when they have a trial or in the lead up to the trial. Now, if it's a larger firm like ours and you've got multiple attorneys, then there's the possibility of multiple trials overlapping at the same time, which is going to make everybody really busy. But let me tell you, I've worked here a long time, and I've seen people leave in the middle of a trial. Not the attorneys, but the staff. Or leave right on the eve of a trial where you would think the most work is happening. I've seen other people that don't. I mean, myself, personally, I'd have to go back to look for the exact number. But it was at least 3, possibly 5 years before I took a vacation when I started working for this firm. So I worked straight from when I started until then without taking any days that the whole firm wasn't taking off.
Yeah.
I know younger people who don't do anything like that. I've seen younger people than me come in and take a vacation the second week or the first week of working at a firm, which I, to this day, would never do.
Yeah.
That's totally against my work ethic. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that they don't do a harder job, because sometimes maybe they're working really hard for a short period of time and then they get to have a more relaxed schedule for a little while after that.
Yeah.
That's kind of the difference that I see.
Yeah.
In places is some jobs you're busy a lot of the time, but then you don't have to be there after 4 p.m. You work from 9 to 4 or whatever. You have an 8-hour shift and that's it.
Yeah.
Where attorneys, doctors, other professionals, software engineers for sure, those industries have been built around doing a lot of stuff in a small period of time, and that's where all of the money is generated. And then the rest of the time is kind of getting ready for that next thing to happen. Like you said with Microsoft, Karen, back then, that was the culture. Everyone stayed all the time. They worked like crazy. That was it. But then when it was done, they didn't have a new project that started the next day. They might have a few weeks off, and that's when they got to take vacations. That's when they got to relax a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they would go back to that crazy schedule. Most of those people can't last that long in those jobs. They don't do that for 30 years. They do that for 5 years, and then they move to another job. That's how things changed. When I was younger, people would get a job, work at a place for 20, 30 years, and then have a pension and move on. Now, most jobs aren't like that. Everybody's just working for the period of time that they're working, and some businesses are good enough to give a little bit extra, and other businesses don't at all. I mean, it's those people that I talked about that aren't going to rise above where they are in society. That's because the jobs that they are at give them the minimum of health care, give them the minimum of bonuses, or if at all. Some of them, those industries are set up so those employees can't get those things because they're not even allowed to work the amount of hours that make you eligible to get some of those benefits. So it's hard to say.
I think that Mike's scolding of us is appropriate. And I think it's that we didn't do a good job enough of and that we should redefine our topic, because I think all of Mike's points are completely right. We weren't just making a generalized comment of only lawyers work hard and no one else works hard.
No, you weren't.
But we kind of,
But you were kind of putting it up in successful.
Yeah. What I think that the better way of framing it is when you're in a job, a job that's similar to a trial lawyer job, where whether you are ultimately going to rise to the top of that profession or not depends upon your ability to consistently be at the top of that profession in terms of not just reputation, but the work product that you do, the results that you achieve, the, the craft of it. It's more akin to like a musician, right? So it's not just playing the notes over and over again. It's getting them better and better and better. Writing your songs so that they're, more and more and more powerful. Not just repetitive work, but advanced work that's advancing a professional craft. It's a little bit more narrow than only lawyers work hard, because we all know that that's not true.
Well, I guess where I would go with that too is,
help me redefine it, because you see where I want to go.
I think a lot of that has to do with the team in general at wherever you are. Like, I mean, when I went in for my heart surgery, it was not one doctor. It was not just the surgeon that was handling it. It was, I mean, at the hospital that I was at, I would say 40 people. But I didn't even see a lot of them because the surgeon worked with a team of surgeons that were all over the United States and Europe. And so, I mean, there were a ton of people working on that. When we go to trial, it's not just you, Karen. It's not just you, Mo. It's a bunch of other people and experts that we pay and so on and so forth. I mean, it becomes a large process. And that's what helps get the successful outcomes. So I think it's not just the individual is where I'm going.
Well, I don't disagree with that either. And yet the individuals who are on the team are very important.
Yeah.
And each one has a role. And some of the roles are, like you said, like the client is a team member, the witnesses, the experts. There is a large team involved. But, I'm coming at it from a very particular perspective as the leader mm-hmm. of the team. And what I see, so I've been involved in teams that work extremely well, and I've been in teams that have been not so good. And a lot of the time when they're not so good, it's because people aren't all rowing at the same rate.
But I would say what makes you, and I don't know Mo as well, but I would probably say Mo as well, is that you're able to direct the team. And that's the difference. And that's what creates the successful person, is being able to recognize, like you said, there's something wrong with the team that we need to fix, or team's working the way it is and I can do my part as best I can. That's where the difference between the worker at, a fast food restaurant versus the lead attorney on a case. And I think that that's where the question of what makes you an effective attorney at a firm like this is being able to stand at the front and not just come up with the plan, but be able to implement the plan and react to what wasn't planned for.
Well, so you've totally derailed us, Mike, because I do agree with so much of what you said, but it's still not my point.
Okay.
And my point is, I don't think that you can be the leader without sacrifice of your personal life. I don't think that it's possible in this profession. While the office may seem calm in between trials, the amount of cases that I am leader on does not allow for actual calmness. The teams that work on my cases used to be really big. I've gone down where I'm trying to get my team smaller to be more manageable. For me personally, it's been It's better for me personally to narrow my management, because I want everybody rowing at the same rate that I am. And when it's not, then I feel like we get out of harmony. I have, at this point of my career, I still work. I've never worked 40 hours a week. I can't even imagine what that would be like. Mo this morning said, "What do you do over the weekend?" I said, he said, because he's looking at my Instagram, it looks like you had a great day yesterday. You were playing with your grandkids, which I did. I got up, saw Sophie. It was Sunday. Do her little baby soccer. We went to Target and spent, grandma money. We went to taco time. And then I came home. I ran down the hill to see Shelly at work, talked about her job. Then I came back and I was at my kitchen table working until 9:45 p.m. because I had to get some briefs and other projects out on a Sunday. That's how it goes. There's never a day, I don't want to say never, there's occasionally a day when I will not work. But in general, my work is part of my life.
Would you say that, when you just said occasionally there's a day that you wouldn't work, would you say that 15 years ago that was the same?
Yeah.
That you still had a couple days that you didn't work?
In a year, yeah. So the only thing that stopped me from working more was when I was a single mom. So when I had my children, they were able to prevent me from being completely an inhuman person because they demanded my attention. And sometimes I wouldn't give it to them. I mean, I was not, always there. I would be there, but sometimes I would be working. I would be multitasking. So I got in the habit. Like I can remember one of the first vacations I went on, it was had been 6 years or something like that. I went on vacation with them, and they wanted to go on a cruise, which was like a nightmare for me. How the hell?
You couldn't be connected while you were.
And it was very, very hard on me. And so they wanted to go on one again. And it was like 4 or 5 years later. And I agreed. I was very, very, very worried about it because it caused me so much stress. And the deal was that as long as it was after like 10 o'clock. So I could work on it after 10. When it was in port, then I can transmit all my work. And that gave me a little bit. Then again, I would go every several years. We went to Italy. And I was worried about it, but not as much. I made sure that everything that we went in had Wi-Fi back then. And again, that's why, I used to sleep very little. So after about 10, that's when they let me be. And that's when I would get all my work done. So yes, always been like this. Now how I live my life is I haven't taken a vacation since 2019. Instead, I bought a house in Hawaii and bought a house in New York. And I go there and it's vacation-like.
But you're still working.
I work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. I was going to say that. You've kind of kept that same pattern.
Yeah.
The whole time that I've known you.
This is what you like about me is everybody can always get a hold of me.
Yeah.
You will not spend 24 hours with not getting a hold of me. And I'm happy. I'm really happy.
But we also have to expect to get emails on a Saturday at midnight.
You can ignore those.
No, we do. But I'm just saying,
yes.
That's how I know you're always working because I get those emails on the weekends, and there's no way that you're not working if I'm getting an email at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday.
And I'm not the kind of person that just wants to sit there and work for the sake of working. I'm normally having to get something done. Like last night, I had thought I was going to be able to go and be done by about 8. And then I thought, this lawyer from out of town, he's been asking me about this thing. I'm going to go look at it. And I kind of put off looking at it because I knew I was going to have to heavily edit it. And I did. It was brutal. It was brutal edits. It wasn't my work product. And so it was about an hour and a half later, and I was like, it's really, came down hard. But that's how you stay, for me, in this profession, where I'm not just the leader, I'm also a person that takes very seriously my need to support this vehicle of a law firm and the people in it. So I really want to always have a good year for the law firm, which means I need to also plan to have a good year for the next year and the next year after that. And so it's just a lot. And I would say that that's what I'm talking about. To be in my shoes, I don't see how you do that without sacrificing. Like I used to play piano. I gave it away. I mean, I could not, I gave myself a year to play it again. I said, okay, I'll play it again. I used to love playing piano. I put it downstairs, the floor started sinking in my 125-year-old house. I put it down there because I didn't want to see it anymore upstairs because I just could not. And I didn't want to play it because I sounded bad. You have to practice. And it's like, I can't, I had to make those decisions like, yeah, this is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. So there's been a lot of things I liked to do, which I have cut out of my life.
Well, what about you? We haven't heard anything from you in a while now.
I mean, I'll go back and I wasn't, success to me is not money. I don't think money is success. I think money is a variable of success because society says it is, okay? Which is fine. I agree with that agreement. But I've been working since I was 13. There has never been a moment in my life that I have not worked. And everything I have done, washed bathrooms, worked in kitchens, cooked food, bussed tables, washed cars, bartended, waited tables, worked at the public defenders, paralegaled. Everything I have done.
Real estate. Right?
Real estate, insurance.
Clothing store.
Clothing store. I mean, everything I have done, I have made a commitment to myself to be the exception to the rule. And that's sacrifice. Because I put in a great deal of effort, a great deal of time, because I am driven by things that are greater than money. Now, all I'm saying is that's sacrifice. It's a sacrifice. It's a choice. It's my personal choice. If you are with people who sacrifice, who want to be the exception, the organization does better.
Okay, don't talk about the organization. How much do you work?
I work probably somewhere between...
No, I mean like...
hours?
Take us through a typical day.
I mean, a typical day for me is I am up at like 5:30 in the morning. I get up, I make myself coffee, and I journal. I write a poem. I shower, change, and I come into the office. And
you're here by when?
Huh?
When are you here by?
Generally, I'm here somewhere between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning. And I come in, and I touch every case that we have. Like, I have to touch every case. So I go through my list of cases, and I touch it. What do I got to do here? Check in here. What I got to do here? And I go through it. And I'm thinking about how can I move this case forward? Even if it is a little bit. An email, pleading or something to that effect. Now, there are people on the team who help facilitate that process, who are exceptional people, who create lists, who nudge, who support and facilitate. There are leaders within the organization who lead the case and move it fast. Well, why do we need to do that? Because we're responsible for all of the people here in this office, many of which who cannot go out and generate cases. And we have to provide for them, provide for their families, provide for their health care and things of that nature. And we owe it to the clients, which is primary. So like these are like the goals. Like it's
so
not
you touch each case and then do you have lunch?
No, sometimes I don't even have lunch.
What do you eat?
I eat the fruits.
Yeah.
He
goes into the kitchen and eats whatever snacks.
I go to the kitchen. I just eat real quick. I eat a little snack and I go back to my desk. I don't go out and eat. Honestly, I don't have time, and it's okay as long as I'm getting my food nourishment. This is why I say, by the way, the crap snacks that we have, we need to get some proteins up there.
Okay,
would be great.
And then what time do you leave the office?
I mean, it depends. Sometimes, this is because of my son and his basketball. Sometimes I'll leave and go home and sometime around 4:35. But then at night I work. Once everybody in the family is in bed I go on another hour and a half and I'm sitting there working. But I'm thinking about the cases all the time, obsessively.
Yeah.
I am talking to her. I don't know. We talk probably like 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day or something. Like we conversate and like we're talking about cases and stuff, And so it's just like, to me, it's like, I don't feel, I guess it's sacrifice, Karen, but it doesn't feel like sacrifice.
But it is, because you could be spending time with, doing something else. You'd be going out to lunch with more friends.
I could be going out to lunch with more friends.
You're not saying that. And the thing is, I'm not saying that we don't. Like, if you were to look at my camera photos, you'd be shocked at what I can get done in a day. But there's like no rest.
Well, that's why
there's no lingering.
That's where I was going to go. Like, both of you stated that you spend time thinking about work often. And I do that too. I mean, that's something that I notice, is that I feel that people that are more motivated in their job will spend more time thinking about it. Like, my wife is the same way. She's got a big project, like a year-long project that she's working on at her work. And she's constantly thinking about it and thinking forward. Like, I'm like, hey, maybe we should take another short vacation before the end of the year. And she's like, next 3 months, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like maybe she could take a day here or there, but it would be the kind of thing where we'd have to decide the day before, maybe. And there's, and she works from home. So a lot of people would think that, these days, a lot of people are like, working from home, you're not doing anything at all.
Well, Mike, people use the term work ethic, I think, to describe what we're talking about a little bit more specifically.
True.
And people will say work ethic as if that means, it's a generality. Like, it's just a term. It doesn't describe what actually happens. And there's a lot of people that say, well, the work ethic generation, is the boomers and the greats, and now people don't have a great work ethic. And I think that is a really shorthand description that doesn't capture what we're talking about. But I think what we're actually talking about is a work ethic.
Oh yeah, that is for sure.
Yeah.
But I think also that it's not just like, it's easy for the boomers or the Generation X to say, oh, we work so much harder, because it seemed like it at the time.
Yeah.
But we also didn't have the choice to have a work-life balance back then. It was just kind of the way things were done. Mm-hmm. Now, people have the choice to work that hard if they want to, but they also have the choice to maybe not work as much. And I think, we've seen it in the last couple of years where, like, Elon Musk was trying to get the workers at Tesla to go back to what you were talking about, where everyone was there all the time and constantly working. But he doesn't want that to ever end, from the way that I understood it, where the work ethic now has changed a little bit in general to, you don't have to kill yourself to do it. You don't have to work. You shouldn't have to think about it all the time. You should have time to go with your son and play basketball.
Yeah.
You should have time to spend with your family. You should be able to go to Hawaii and relax or whatever. So when the younger people want to do those things, that's because our generation changed it into more of that work ethic, where it was like, it's a little crazy. We're working too hard. We got to slow things down. And then now everyone's saying that because we slowed it down, it's the younger generation being wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that, like, I enjoy it. Like, I don't do it because I suffer. Like, I could go do something else, I mean, even when I was at the public defender, I didn't have to work that much.
I can honestly say, I don't know that this is a topic that has answers to it, but I can tell you that I don't work well with people who don't work like me. That's what I have come to realize as a lawyer. I just don't. It's why Mo and I get along so well. Like he's
got a
call
very
him at 9:00 at night, and we're going to be talking about some case. Like if I need to, or we can be collaborating and doing something. Oh, well, this needs to get done. Okay, well, here's a strap. Well, here's a strap. You know, and the other person that even almost more so than Mo, that's important to me, no offense, is Kristen.
Oh, yeah.
Kristen is crazy great for me because she's so fast and she is right there, like step by step is really, it's hard. And I think it's hard for people that don't work like me, which is very fast and a lot and hard. It's hard for me to not have that in my team.
But this is the sacrifice thing because right, like when I said like if you're just going to be better if you have three or four people sacrificing.
Yeah, it's just a more effective team.
It's just a more effective team, and it's not like that,
Yeah.
And it's just like you get more results.
I think you get
different types
faster
of
results for sure. I don't necessarily know that you get more, but I definitely think you get faster, and I think that it varies depending on the field that you're into. I think that in law, that speed is needed. That that has to happen. Other industries can be more slow paced, and it's just fine for them, and they can get done what they need to get done. And I think that money comes into that too. Like a business that's not working as much isn't going to make as much money. If you're someone like me that doesn't care about having that much money, then that's fine. But if you want money, you're going to need to generate more by doing more work.
Yeah. When I was 14, I got a job at this pizzeria called La Coco's. It's the best pizzeria in Marin County. It is the best pizzeria in Marin County.
Is it still there?
It's still there. Every time I go back, I go there and they see me and they know me so well. and I hug people. It's because it was part of my upbringing. Yeah. And this was like the first like big job I got. And I was so excited about it for a couple of reasons. One, I was able to get half a pizza every day and bring it home. And, we didn't have a lot. So I'd come home and that was dinner. Mm-hmm. Like that was a big deal. And the second thing was I was able to contribute to the household. So my paychecks, I was able to give it to my mom and say, here's my contributions to the till. But what I loved about the job is that the owner of the pizzeria had immigrated here from Italy, and him and his brother had their family recipe. And everybody loved the pizzeria so much. The pizza used to fly out the door, but we had to go make the dough from scratch all the time. And we used to have like every month we would go in, me, the owner, Nick, Doug, who was like the head chef guy, and we would go in and make 1,000 dough. And we would go through this process, and we were so efficient. We were so disciplined, and we sacrificed a lot of hours to go in just through this process of making dough because people used to come into that place and love the pizza so much. And we could never have it run out. We could never run out of the pizza. So it wasn't, maybe for the owner it was about money because he was making a killing selling the pizza. But I felt like I was part of this process where when they used to come in, these kids used to come in, and I used to be able to take the dough, Mike, and I'd knead the dough, and I would throw the dough up in the air, and the kids would go bananas. Being part of that process made me feel like the amount of effort and sacrifice I made, because I was going to school full time and I was working at this place, made me the exception to the rule. The outcome for me was the joy of that experience, being in partnership with these people and making pizza. I think that's what like sacrifice for me meant. And I was like, I'm willing to do this. And I don't own a pizzeria. Pizza isn't my passion.
Wait a minute. My takeaway is you can throw the dough in the air.
Yes.
Oh my God, Mike, we gotta have a pizza party.
Can you still do it?
I can still do it.
Of course you can.
I can throw the dough up in
Pretty much everyone I know that ever had to work at a pizza place that could do that can still do that. And it always impresses me. It's like somebody that can juggle kind of for me.
And every time I used to throw it up, this is really funny. Nick used to go, fish on. And I thought it was like a Sicilian term, right? I'm like, what is that? Fish on. And then one morning, he's sweetest man. He took me fishing. You know, we went fishing, and we're fishing out in this lake, Lake Berryessa, and then gets something. And then he starts to go, fish on! And I thought it was a Sicilian term. I go, Nick, what is that? What are you talking? He's saying, fish on.
Yeah.
And that was the term. And I'm throwing the dough up, and he's saying the same thing. It just, yeah.
So did he fish a lot?
He fished a lot. He's the sweetest man. He used to always take me fishing with him. And then we would go get the fish and bring it back and clean it. Yeah.
So here's that's a good example. I mean, here you got somebody that's got a very successful pizza place.
Yeah.
But he still takes time out to go fishing with his employees.
Yeah.
Oh God, turn the screws on me, Mike.
Yeah. Aren't you taking me fishing?
Well, I'm just saying
Karen?
that means that shows that there's sacrifice, but also time for himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of get the sense that I didn't have a dad. I think he was trying to be a fatherly figure in my life.
Yeah.
But you're right.
But he still took the time to do it.
took
He
the
didn't
time
have to
to
do
do
that
it.
with his
Yeah.
employees.
Well,
Yeah.
he could have opened another couple pizzerias if he was really ambitious.
If he was Mark Cuban.
Correct.
That's right.
Correct.
That's right.
See, that's kind of where I'm going with this whole. That was my take on this. Is that you can have time. You're going to have to sacrifice, for sure. That's part of it. But as you move along, you can still sacrifice, but find time for yourself. And I think you have to, because you can't. I think I've seen it. People just burn out after a period of time. And I've known people, I remember a friend of my wife's had become an attorney and worked as an attorney for like 3 years and was like, I can't do this.
Well, it's a high level of stress.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, you got to get through the first 5-10 years, whatever, before you can get to a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to slow down a little bit. If you've got kids, you're a single mother, like you had to work as hard as you could and try to find time. So you were sacrificing sleep. You were sacrificing, any of your own personal time for everybody else. And there came a point where you were able to slow that down a little bit, even though your work ethic drove you all the time.
Well, my kids grew up, but the reality was that in my late 30s, also I was getting divorced. I realized that I was going to die young if I didn't
Slow down.
see the doctor, see the dentist, and that's when I started taking an hour and a half to work out. And I've been very rigorous about all of that ever since, because I did not want to basically die young. I want to
Drive yourself into the ground.
Yeah, you really need to do that. But now, like, since Nala died, I don't run as much. I walk, run. Like, I walk, ran over here. I walk and I run. But I'm on the phone almost the whole time. That's when I make all my calls.
Yeah.
So, there's ways to do it. I think for me, the difference of there's also and this is also a privileged viewpoint. I'm choosing to sacrifice, whereas many people, the majority of people in the world, do not choose to make the sacrifices. They have no choice. They
just
have
do.
no option.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing to make these sacrifices as a, American, well-off, professional, person still at the height of my career. I choose to do it. But in my choice to do it, and when I'm doing it, for the most part, at least for now, when I'm not burnt out, I was burnt out about 2-3 years ago from Mocaine. It doesn't feel like a sacrifice. I was able to see my grandkids. I was able to play with them. I was able to go see my best friend and support her. And then I worked. So I missed out on a little bit of TV that maybe I would have otherwise watched. and I lost to Loris and backgammon as usual. But it didn't feel like it. That's what Mo's saying is like, I'm willing to do it because it feels good. It's feeding something that I want.
Yeah.
I want to, I also have an insatiable need to always do and be better and to help and to conquer and to fight. And so I'm so fed by what I do. So it's a privileged sacrifice. And maybe that's how this should have been reframed from the very beginning. The privilege of sacrifice in this profession. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a much better way to put it.
Yeah, I'm grateful. I'm only in this country because a woman woke up one day and was like, I'm going to take my son out of Iran and bring him to the United States. I mean, I'm just grateful. What else am I going to do with this opportunity? So, like, there's like a little bit of sense of urgency. Otherwise, you know, my family in Iran, they don't get the privilege of sacrifice. They really don't.
I think also that a person that is like me or Mo or Strip Matter or, you know, a lot of the storied people that have been in this firm is that there's something a little bit wrong with us.
Yeah, I didn't go there.
We're not really normal.
Before we started this, Mo was asking about the like some of the other attorneys that were here before him.
Yeah.
That might have been like that, and I was like, I didn't say that, but I still remember that people calling you guys cowboys and sort of mavericks and not considering it to be the norm, and I think it's true. You know, and I think that I've always attributed that to the reason that this firm's been successful. So.
Yeah, there is something wrong with us.
There is something wrong with this.
That's the name of this.
Yeah,
Thanks for keeping us on the straight line,
yes,
keeping
Mike.
it real, Mike.
Always keeps it real.
See you guys.
Well, that's all for today.
Until next time.